Hello, my stamping friends. My name is Holly Peterson, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. I blog at hollyscrafting.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this card. It is a fun fold card, and I think it's a Cascading Pleats card, but it's portrait instead of landscape. And so I'm going to show you how I put that card together. I will be using the Irresistible Blooms online exclusive stamp set and dies, and it has the red rubber stamps and all the dies that go with it. The paper that we're using is the Sunny Days paper from Celebration that you can get free with a $50 order before tax and shipping in my online store. Okay, with that, let's get started. I've cut all of the layers, and the first thing I wanted to show you was how I made a little frame using the Everyday Details dies. It comes with 2 sheets of dies, and I'm using this largest rectangle, and it actually cuts an inside and then a frame. So I want to show you what that looks like. So I've got a piece of white that measures 4 1/4 by 2 13/16, and I'm going to use my little die cut machine here. And I'm going to try to make it even on my white so that I can use 1 cut for 2 different cards. I think that looks good. Whoops. Okay. Whenever you have a straight edge like this one, you really want to try to put it in an angle so that it's a little bit easier to turn through the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so when we get rid of all of this, it cuts an inside frame, and then you have this little frame that you can use on another card. We're not using this piece today, we're just using the rectangle that it cut out. Okay, let's start with our card base. Let me see what I did with it. So the card base measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/4, and it's scored at 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then to make your cascading pleats, on the 3-inch score line, you measure down 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to cut from that mark to this fold. And then on the 2-inch, we measure down 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to cut straight across there. And then on the 1-inch line, we're going to measure down 1 1/4 inches. This will be a diagonal, and then it'll be 1 1/4 inch over here, and we'll do that straight across. So let me get my snips, and I did this in a class, so I drew the pencil lines for my class attendees just so it was easier for them to cut. I did do all the scoring and marking for them, but I did not cut their paper. I made them cut their paper. But I drew the lines so they knew where to cut. Like that. This is just trash. We'll throw that away. And if you have any pencil lines that you need to erase, I have a white eraser. We'll just get rid of those pencil lines. Okay. So then to fold this card, we're going to fold on the 4-inch like a regular card. And for this card especially, it's important to really crease all those folds. This card will take extra postage if you're going to mail it, because it's quite thick with the number of layers that I put on. And you could certainly use less layers than I'm going to use today, but I think it would probably still take an extra postage. Okay, so there we have that. And then let me show you. I'll start from the bottom of my stack here. I had this in order for my classmates. So I have Pool Party that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Basic Black that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And the Sunny Days designer paper that measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. We're just going to layer these up. And I'm just using my seal for this. Once again, I've used just a real skinny little border there. I'll layer this up onto the Pool Party. And then this is the inside layer of our card. So we'll go ahead and put that on the inside. Okay, now we're going to work on this middle layer, and those dimensions are a basic white of 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, Pool Party 3 3/8 by 4 5/8, basic black 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then designer paper from this same pack 3 1/8 by 4 3/8. We'll just start adhering these layers together. And like I said, you could use less layers than what I did, but I just liked the look of this black layer in the middle there. And if you don't catch these measurements in the video, I will post all of these measurements over on my blog, and I'll link the video to that blog post. So like that. And you'll see on my original card, that layer was a petal pink layer. I ran out of that paper, so I just used the Pool Party design in that same paper pack. And then we're going to put all of those layers onto our white. Okay, so it's real important when we put this layer onto our middle section that we're only putting adhesive onto this scored section. So I'm going to continue to just use my seal. And I'm going to get as close to the fold as I can. And then you want to make sure that it's going to fold good for you. And I'm going to line up the bottom edge, and then the top edge, that pleat where we cut, should match up. And I notice I have some black. My blade must have been needed to be trimmed or changed. So I'm just going to take my adhesive eraser, and I find that that takes off those fuzzy cuts when your blade maybe needs to be changed on your trimmer. Just clean that up a little bit. Okay. Now for our top layer, we have basic white, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. We have Pool Party, 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. Black, 3 by 4. And designer paper, 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. Again, we're going to just adhere those layers together. Whoops. When I line these up, I'm looking at these 3 corners and then just trying to make those borders about the same. Okay, one last layer here. Once all the paper is cut for you, this card is real easy, real quick to put together. Cutting paper did take a little bit of time. Okay. And it looks like this one needs to be cleaned up a little bit too. There we go. Again, we want to just put adhesive on that fold. And I'm using quite a bit of adhesive. I just want it to make sure that it stays put. And then we're going to just line this up with that. And now we just need to put all of our embellishments on. So we'll set this aside over here for a minute. For the front of the card, this is the circle out of the Everyday Essentials or Everyday Details dies. This is one of the circles out of there. And I'm going to use Shaded Spruce ink. And I'm using the Hello from the Irresistible Blooms stamp set. So I'm just going to stamp the hello down here. I'm I'm going to use one of these leaves on the front, and I wanted to show you, I've got all my flowers and leaves die cut and colored for us, but I just wanted to show you real quick how you can use your Wink of Stella pen to color. I'm using Pool Party ink. And then you can take your Wink of Stella, that ink stays a little bit wet for a few minutes. So then you can take your Wink of Stella and then you can just pull that ink from the outline of your stamp and color your petals. Just adds a nice soft color, a lighter shade of our Poppy Parade, and a little bit of shimmer on the card. I don't think you can ever have too much shimmer. I'm trying not to get into the center of the flower. We'll go ahead and color those with the Stampin' Right, or the blends, Stampin' Blends. And I'm using the dark Daffodil Delight. And then I'm just going to fill in this center here. And then I use the dies to cut them out. I've got those all cut out there. Now for the big flower, I stamped it in Memento Black. We're going to use the Poppy Parade blends, and we're just going to add some dark. And I like to do a couple petals at a time. And then come in with the light and color over those. Not a lot of shading that I'm doing, basically just coloring. And I just kind of follow the lines that the artist at Stampin' Up! Gave us. I think I'll just do the rest. It's pretty fast coloring. I love these blends markers. They're alcohol-based ink, and they color so nice. They don't leave any color lines. They blend real well together. Even if you're using two different colors, not the light and the dark of the same color, you can mix them and blend them together with two totally different colors as well. Okay, so there we have our larger flower, and I'm going to use my die and cut this out. Okay. And the piece of white that I started for this is the 5 by 5.5, and I was able to stamp 3 small flowers, 3 leaves, and 1 large flower on that one piece of paper. Okay. This flower is going to just get glued into here with one of our stamped leaves, and I use the Wink of Stella to pull that green into the leaves as well. Let's see here. Silicone mat might be nice. Silicone mat is a nice addition to your craft supplies. The glue won't stick to it, so it makes it really nice. So I'm just going to stick my leaves onto the back of my flower. And then I'm just going to set it in this lower left corner. For the inside, or for the back layer, we're going to stamp in Shaded Spruce again. Hooray, it's your day. And that's just going to go kind of here at the bottom. Like that. I see I have a little circle there that wants to hang on. And then for this layer, we can just adhere it to the inside back layer. And I don't want to see this sticking out from my card. So if you center it pretty centered, it should be hid behind this panel, but you can certainly double check it before you adhere this down. My ink must not have been dry. I don't know if you can see that, but it says hooray right there. I'm going to cover that with my flowers. So that looks good about there. Then I'm going to take 2 of these flowers and I did die cut some of the leaves out with those dies as well. So I'm going to use one of these leaves. I think I'm going to use a glue dot. Let me stick these down. One other thing nice about your silicone mat, if your seal isn't rolled up, you can get it started on your silicone mat. And then it works real good. I'm going to make sure we cover that up, and I'm not going to stick those down too hard just yet because I want to tuck these leaves underneath there. And then this one will just make sure they're not sticking out above. Okay, I like that there. And then this little die cut leaf, I'm just going to put down underneath here. Easier said than done. Okay, so there's the inside. Now we just need to add our embellishment on the front. And this one, I did use dimensionals on my hello. So I'm just going to stick 3 on the back of my circle here. And again, I'm just going to loosely put it down for now. My flower is going to get adhesive on the bottom and then a dimensional on top. This die cut leaf we're going to use with a glue dot again. And I'm just going to stick it underneath here. Now the stamped leaves, I'll put a couple of glue dots on the back of this as well. Glue dots are wonderful. They're super strong, and it's easy to pick up your image and pick up the glue dot off the roll. This I'm actually going to stick underneath my circle layer, and I want to make sure that it doesn't go outside of my card. Then we have one more thing to do, and that is to stamp our envelope. And what I'm going to do for the envelope is I'm going to use the Poppy Parade again and stamp that smaller flower. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of scratch paper. And I'm going to put a leaf on here, but I think it's going to go off my envelope. So we'll take a leaf. And if you wanted to, you could color your flower on your envelope as well. I'm just going to leave it uncolored. And there we have the card I made today for you and my original with the 2 different patterns on the inside there. I hope you've enjoyed my video. If so, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Bye.